Been an overseer for 30 years.
30
I've been the
years.
presiding overseer in the Sugar House area for 25 years.
And I can certainly let you read this, and Mr. Jensen has a copy of it. It was attached to affidavit of Don D. Hines, and it's some quotations from the Awake magazine that deal with the shunning issue. As I understand, you testified the Jehovah Witness organization does not shun, especially in the context of, say, the people in Pennsylvania, the Amish. You don't shun in that
What
fashion.
I was saying is, that isn't what I said. What I said was, we do not use the term shunning
Okay.
because of that stereotype. It includes families and everything. If you just look up the word shun in the dictionary, the Hatfields shunned the McCoys. If you don't fellowship with somebody, is that shunning?
That's the question I guess I'm asking you.
Obviously.
Draw the distinction.
Yeah.
It is a difference, in your opinion?
In a congregational matter, as I stated earlier, disfellowshipping applies to the congregation situation. And I don't think the term shunning is all that appropriate. It has a connotation that, and if you look through all our publications, you'll find very few times that the word's actually used, and generally it's used in regard to conduct. Shun gambling, or shun alcoholism, or shun whatever. That's usually the context.
Let me just, we're short on time here. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but in, where is it, 1 Corinthians, there's a quote that's talked about in this article. It says, Paul told the congregation, quit mixing in company with anyone called a brother, that is a fornicator or a greedy person or an idolater or a reveler or a drunkard or an extortionist, not even eating with such a man.
Yeah, you're quoting from chapter 5 of 1 Corinthians.
Right. 11 through 13.
You didn't get it all. At the beginning it says it's talking about fornication is reported among you, and it talks about this individual had fornicated with his father's wife. And then in verse 5 it says, hand such a man over to Satan for destruction of the flesh, in order that the spirit may be saved in the day of the Lord. Clear away the old leaven, that you may be a new lump, according to as you are free from ferment. So, yeah, that's in the Bible.
So if you have an idolater, a reveler, or fornicator, whichever term you want to use, that person is disfellowshipped. What status do they have now as a disfellowshipped, baptized member of the congregation?
Being a congregational matter, they would no longer be a part of the congregation.
How are they looked on? What's their status?
No longer is one of Jehovah's Witnesses.
And that's it. They're not, the congregation isn't told to despise or hate or look upon that person as an evil person that had the truth and has now lost it and is a follower of the devil.
The congregation, the title disfellowship means no fellowship. So the congregation is admonished not to fellowship with that individual. As Paul said here, it introduces the potential of leaven into the congregation. That person might convince you that fornicating's fine, go ahead and do it. It's bad association, so that's what they're told.
Okay, so don't associate with them at all.
If you were out in the middle of the country and you drove by and they had a flat tire, what would you do?
I would stop and help them, but what would
Jehovah's
you do?
Witness would stop and help that person.
What if
It's
they're...
the main thing to do. They're stuck in a storm, their tire's flat, put them in the car, take them down, but you wouldn't talk about the latest article in the Awake magazine, and that's fellowship. That's what we define as fellowship.
Okay, again, my question, if you could give me a direct answer, is an individual has been disfellowship considered demonic?
No, and every case is different. One individual might get disfellowship because they really were wicked, a wicked person. Another person may get disfellowship because they inadvertently fell into some practice and at some point in time will repent of that. They're not wicked at all. What they did is bad and had to be dealt with, but the individual is not a wicked individual, and the mercy of God, they'll be allowed to repent and to make their way back.
Okay, so
and based on that, the elders meet with them and are instructed to meet with them once a year to look for individuals like that that can make their way back into a repentant relationship with their Creator.
So the one that's really wicked, they're demonic.
Well, you asked me if all disfellowshipped ones are wicked. It depends on the situation.
No, you gave me two examples, and I'm referring to the one that is really wicked.
Okay.
Are they to be treated as a demonic individual and no association, no contact,
What do you
no
mean by
creed?
demonic?
I'm asking you.
I can't answer your question. I don't know what you mean by demonic.
What does demonic mean to you?
That's the devil. You're part of the devil.
Okay, so that's the description we'll use. Is a really wicked, disfellowshipped member considered demonic in your definition?
Not always. Depends on this. Every circumstance has its own merit.
Not always, but sometimes.
Question, Your Honor.
I didn't know that he has, Your Honor.
Well, he has given an answer. Move along.
If an individual, being the expert, if an individual of your congregation were to celebrate Christmas, what kind of discipline would be taken against them? Or a birthday? And are they different?
If a person in the congregation was involved in activities like that, the elders would sit down with the individual and try to determine what's going on. The objective is, as Jesus said, if you have 100 sheep and one's lost, leave the 99 and go find the one. So the objective is to help that individual. Whether it's worshiping something like that, or Christmas, celebrating Christmas, or fornication, or whatever it happens to be. The elders will meet with that individual based on the person's attitude at that time. Will have a direct relevance to what they do.
So if they celebrate Christmas, there will be some action taken. To what degree is the question?
Depends on each situation is different. You're trying to get me to stereotype all of those, and they're all different.
No,
in my 25 years, every one of them are different.
I don't want to argue with you. I'm just giving you a hypothetical. If you were to celebrate Christmas, there would be some action taken.
The elders would meet with the individual to determine the situation.
And there could be some discipline, because at times discipline is necessary
There could be.
to cleanse the organization.
No, to help the individual. Helping the individual is number one.
Okay. That's all I have here. Oh, one more question. Excuse me. Is there a custody packet? Are you familiar with that?
Custody packet?
Yes, sir.
I've never heard of a custody
Never heard of it?
packet.
Does the headquarters or the congregation, if they have local autonomy, do they ever sit down and consult with children or parents if there's a custody dispute going on?
Let me make sure I understand that. Does the local congregation sit down and discuss a strategy or a package or something?
Yeah, let's say one of the elders, there's members of the congregation, they're going through a custody battle, and they have some questions religiously, and they go to their elder, or maybe come to you as an overseer. Do you have some direction from headquarters as to how to deal with them, how to answer them? Is there a custody packet published by headquarters to assist you with that?
In my 25 years of doing this, I have never seen a custody packet, never heard the term used until just now. As far as will the elders sit down, we'll sit down with any one of the members that's having whatever the problem is, and we'll help them, we'll discuss with them, we'll look at ways that if they have questions, we'll deal with it. If it has a legal implication, we have access to attorneys in Brooklyn that we can talk to.
So if one of your elders, at least as much as 6 months ago, were to have testified that he had a custody packet and used it, you're not familiar with that, never heard of it?
I have never heard of a custody packet.
Have no idea what he's talking about.
I've been doing this a long time.
Custody book, is that make any difference?
Custody book, I've never heard of a custody book.
Thank you. Nothing for the Your Honor.
Further questions?
Mr. Johnson. Is that appropriate, or are you Mr. Johnson or Elder Johnson?
We do not have titles.
Okay. What is a sin? And what do you consider
Well,
to be
to
a
go to the
sin?
Greek word that sin's taken from, it means missing the mark.